What is up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video where we get to take a look at another little 125cc scooter from a Chinese manufacturer. It's sold here as the Daytona Virtus 125. It also has a 250cc version and a 300cc version, but what we have here is the little 125cc version, coming in at just under 3,000 euros, about 2,800 euros. And it's an interesting little machine. It's built on the classic scooter platform, but it does have a couple of things that make it stand out from other 125cc scooters. It does have this adventure vibe to it, and it has a lot of things going for it. So as we usually do, we're going to take it from front wheel to back wheel, and then we're going to take it around the city for a little bit of a ride. So let's start off at the front. Now, before we go on, I need to talk about today's video sponsor, Lytmi, who are currently launching their new CozyClip headphones, and cheap, inexpensive headphones that feel good to the touch, sound good, are of good build quality. I've been using them for the past couple of weeks, testing them out. They're easy to put on, as you can probably see. They're comfortable. They sit on the ear, like clip to the ear, and don't sit inside your canal. You can hear your surroundings very well. The music sounds good. It sounds better than previous generations of Lytmi headphones. The design I quite like. I love the fact that there's a QR code on the back, takes you straight to your user manual. So in case you forget what all the touch controls do, you can easily find that out. Started my music just like that because it's connected to my phone automatically. Check them out. Lytmi, about 38 euros or $40. There's also a 10% discount code down in the description below. You'll find all the links down there. And if you're in the market for an inexpensive pair of wireless headphones, earbuds, check them out. I like them. I use them daily. Now, back to the video. All right, starting off at the front, we have an interesting design with a very wide front fairing, giving the rider ample wind protection. We have these LED headlights right here with 4 projector beams. Yes, I know what you're gonna say in the comments. They look like the Honda ADV 160. I think half of the things I present, you guys say they're Honda copycats. I don't care. It looks good. Moving on down, we have place here for some projector headlights if you want to mount them, or projector spotlights if you want to mount them. We have a regular fork. We have a 13-inch wheel in the front. We have a single brake disc up front with a triple piston caliper. Kind of the regular scooter affair, but the caliper is a little bit big. We do have a digital speedo, but we do not have any ABS or traction control on this unit. And I think I forgot to mention, the headlights and the indicators are LED. Everything on this machine is full LED. A bit of a close-up on the windshield. It does have a not so big windshield, but it is adjustable. You can bring it all the way down here, or you can put it all the way up here. It should make a bit of a difference when you're going at a little bit of a higher speed. Moving around to the right hand side, we have an access panel here, which gives us 2 wires to give power to the battery. We have our expansion tank for the engine cooling system. We have our 13.5 liter fuel tank right here in the middle. We have our floorboards. We have a little bit of protection. They look something like rock sliders from the off-road world. But yeah, it offers a little bit of protection. We have our passenger foot pegs, all metal. We have an interesting design to the floorboard for the rider. It's very angled down, and then here at the top it's straight, presumably to be able to ride it standing, but I don't think there's enough room there to comfortably be riding standing. But you do have a lot of room to extend your legs. Moving on a little bit further back, we have our 125cc engine, liquid cooled, that puts out about 11.5 horsepower and 10.5 newton meters of torque. Moving around to the back, we have our luggage rack right here. We have a pretty decent and beefy suspension on the back with what looks to be a lot of suspension travel. 13-inch wheel on the back, again single brake disc in the back, again no ABS, LED lights all around, indicators, rear light, and we do have here a little bit of strengthening of the rear luggage rack to make it I don't know, hold a little bit of extra weight, plus our exhaust, which has an interesting design to it. Also, this scooter comes with CST off-road oriented tires. I really like the look of these things, and they should handle decently. Under the seat, you might find it a little bit surprising because, first of all, it's spring-loaded, so it can easily open up. And this is a pretty big space under the seat. You can easily fit a full-face helmet, and it's very, very deep. That's the interesting part about it. It's very deep. But then again, this scooter has a pretty tall seat height at about 800 millimeters seat height. That's tall for a scooter. Moving on to the handlebars, on the right hand side we have our kill switch, we have our seat popper, we have our start-stop system activation and deactivation, we have our engine start button. On the left hand side we have our hazard lights, our high and low beam, our passing light right here, our turn signal indicators, and our horn. And down by the ignition we have our keyless system, our seat opener, and our fuel door opener. On the left hand side we have a bit of a glove box here with a USB port right here. We have the key inside. This is what the key looks like. And also here on the left hand side we have a 12-volt socket. So we have a 12-volt socket here and a USB plug inside the glove box. In terms of dashboard, we're gonna get a look at the dashboard. It's full LCD. We do have our idiot lights right here, a couple of more warning lights like our start-stop system here. We have our water temperature gauge, our outside temperature gauge, our rev counter, clock, speedometer, odometer, and fuel gauge. Now I know you can barely see anything in this display. It's LCD, and it wreaks havoc with the camera's shutter speed, but trust me, it is quite clearly visible in real life. And that is a complete overview of the Daytona Virtus 125. It's an interesting machine, especially considering the price. Sure, it doesn't have ABS or traction control, but it does have a start-stop system. It does have a long-range fuel tank. It does have ADV tires. It seems to have long travel suspension, but we will test that out on our test ride. And yeah, I like the way it's finished. It looks well put together. Plastics seem okay. It looks good in terms of design. Sure, they might have copied somebody else, but it looks good, and that's the main thing when you buy something. You want it to look good. You're not necessarily worried that it copied something else. If it looks good, it looks good. The end of it. What is a little bit disconcerting is, firstly, the floorboard is a little bit angled down. So you either have your leg pointing up or your leg pointing down. Here behind me, there's clearly no room to ride standing. And also at 800 mil of seat height, I mean, I'm 175 centimeters tall and I cannot flat foot this thing. Now, granted, I don't need to flat foot the machine, but with 156 kilograms of weight, wet and ready to ride, it is a little bit on the hefty side, and you kind of want to have a bit of a sure footing with it. But niggles aside, let's turn it on. Pretty quiet engine, and let's take it out for a ride. Let's go. All right, riding the Daytona Virtus 125. I'm actually quite interested in this machine, how it rides, because it kind of looks like a cut down version of the Sim ADX 125. It's pretty much the same weight, and it's pretty much the same power, only 1 horsepower down on it. It doesn't have ABS and traction control like the ADX. It does have start-stop. And it kind of has a similar design with a jacked up suspension. Now the seat height on the ADX 125 is a little bit lower than this thing is, but maybe the jacked up suspension has something to do with it, why the seat height is so high. Plus the underseat storage is extremely deep. It's probably the deepest I've ever seen on any scooter. But I'm going to take it out on the road and see how it rides and see if it can stack up to the ADX 125, even though it costs about 60%, 60 or 70% of the price of the ADX 125, which is a little bit shocking that they were able to give you this much scooter for such a low price. It might come down to the build quality, but honestly, this thing looks very good, and it's very nicely finished. I mean, the handlebar is nice and wide, and it looks pretty. The finish on it is very, very pretty. And very few things I can find to complain about it. My feet it's a little bit weird having them angled down, but then again, I can put them all the way up there, and I can find a very comfortable position indeed. I could ride this thing long distance without any kind of issue. The mirrors, let's get this one adjusted. The mirrors are nice and big. They offer very, very good visibility behind you quickly. Let's see the punch of the engine. A little bit squirmy on the painted part of the tarmac, but that is to be expected. You know, it goes. It's already up to 70-80 kilometers an hour. This thing moves. This ain't no slouch for a 125cc. I don't think it has the legs of the ADX 125. Hit the brakes. Good brakes. Good brakes, and we get adjustable levers on both sides, and we even get a parking brake. This thing is shaping up to be quite an awesome machine, and considering you can also buy it in 250cc version and 300cc version in some markets, very few things I can complain about. I am actually trying to think about something I can complain. Floorboards. They're weird. And can I ride standing? Not really. It's not very uncomfortable. It's not very comfortable. But otherwise, it works good. We have a light here showing us that the engine has come up to temperature. We have 66 degrees on engine coolant. It's 20 degrees outside. And our start-stop feature is currently enabled, and it's active. If we stop at a red light, the engine will shut down by itself. It's very ADV designed, and I like that. It looks good. It looks purposeful. Let's get to the side, and let's see. We're going to test out the start-stop system and how quickly it comes to life. Okay, we are stopped. The engine is still running. And now it's shut down. How quickly does it fire up? Pretty quickly. But we're going to see it from a dead stop when the light turns green. Usually on 125cc scooters, I turn off the start-stop feature because it's just too sluggish getting off the line. Starting the engine and getting off the line. Will this... Okay, come on. It didn't want to do it. The going from a full engine stop, just giving it full gas, it did not want to do it. I mean, the engine started, but it was under-revved, and it didn't want to rev up. Okay, that's interesting. That's something I haven't seen before. I don't know if there's something wrong with the engine, but no, this thing is a 300 kilometer unit, so there's nothing wrong with this engine. Oh man, how pretty that thing is. But as pretty as it may be, it's big. And me with my little 125cc scoot, I can go to the front of the pack and be sure I catch the green light. Some motorcycles are beautiful, but other two-wheel machines are better for inside city riding. They just are, simply by size, power, and brakes. We do have a combined braking system on this thing, so I can feel it working, but it works good. And the brakes are nice and positive. Levers are very tight in a good way, where I don't have to pull a lot on them to get some proper brake force from them. Just a little tug, and it's good enough. You can, and they're very easy to modulate. That's good for something that doesn't have ABS. Very easy to modulate. I want to try the start-stop thing again. See if maybe it was just a fluke, but I don't think it was a fluke. It's very hard on a little 125cc engine to come from a dead stop and go to full throttle. You do have to do some wizardry with the electronics. I don't know if they were able to do it. Sims can do it. They don't necessarily like it. The Mamba MMBCU 160 kind of does it okay. The ADX 125 really doesn't like it when you give it full throttle from an engine stop situation. But it will do it. It won't hiccup. It's gonna take a little. It's actually a little bit faster to just give it half throttle. It sets off quicker than to just give it full throttle instantly. So it complains a little, but it does it. This thing back there, it didn't want to do it. So I'm gonna have to test that one again. Come on. Really, one leg out, dude. How scared are you? Just. Does this guy know how to ride? And I think I know that scooter. 333 Hope. I know that scoot. That's a Bergman 200 up ahead, and I think I know who owns it. But he used to be a better rider than that. I don't know if he sold it or not, but he used to be a better rider than that. And I don't know what's with the leg out. Anyway, back to the Virtus 125 as we get to a bit of an off-road section that I'm gonna test out everything on it. Let's see, how good does it handle off-road? Well, on the train tracks it is a little bit bumpy, but let's see on some proper cobblestones. Now, again, I'm in the city. I do not have like mountains to cross, but let's see. You know what, on cobblestones is not that bad actually. If you get a bit of speed, like 25 kilometers an hour, it really isn't that bad. And big bump, very compliant. Is it as good as the ADX suspension, the ADX 125? No. No, straight up no, it just isn't. But is it better than regular scooter suspension? Oh yeah. They've done something here, and it's better. It's just better. It has the ability to soak up the bumps a lot better. And with this wide handlebar, you can actually maneuver it on bumpy roads, bumpy sections. I haven't bottomed out the suspension just yet. It doesn't seem like I'm getting close to bottoming it out. Not even on the brakes. Let's get on here. At slower speeds, it gets a little bit bumpy, but as soon as you pick up the pace a little bit, the suspension is able to do its job and actually soak up the bumps quite nicely. Again, it's no ADX 125, but it's definitely a lot better than most scooters I have ridden. And jump! Jumped it a little bit. And when it gets like this, where it's just a little bit bumpy and gravelly, it can get moving. Now, I don't want to pull too hard on the rear brake because it might lock up the front brake as well. That's what I don't like about linked brake systems. I mean, if you're not going to give me ABS, just leave me with independent brakes. But that's not the manufacturer's fault. That's a fault of the European Union and Euro 5 legislation. But yeah, riding it around here, I like it. And if you don't have the money for an ADX 125, because I know it's expensive, jump. I know it's expensive. This thing is actually quite a decently good alternative. The fuel tank is only 1.5 liters smaller, so it should get very decent range out of it. And if you're scared of riding it fast, you can just ride it slow. And because of the wide handlebar, it's very, very controllable. But it is a lot smoother when you're just riding it a little bit quicker on these bumps. It kind of glides over the bumps. The suspension gets to do a better job at higher speed than it does at lower speed. I mean, it's more controllable going like this. 35, I have no issues. I can ride it one-handed. Even on all the bumps and everything, as soon as I slow down to like walking pace, it gets very bumpy and harsh. But get some speed going, and it works a heck of a lot better. Quite impressed. Quite impressed with the suspension. Quite impressed with the way it handles the bumps. Didn't realize it could actually have a good a suspension as good as this on the bumps. Hard on the brakes, on the bumps. Didn't bottom out the fork. That's impressive. I am 110 kilograms and riding on these bumps hard on the brakes, on the front brake, and didn't bottom out the fork. Usually small scooters, when you do that on surfaces like this, you will be bottoming out the fork very hard, the front fork. But I didn't on this one. Power. Good machine. Good little machine. And it's nimble around the city. It tucks into corners very nicely. Engine pickup is quite good. Let's test out the start-stop system again, because I really want to see if it's an issue with the Scoot or it was just a fluke. Maybe the engine wasn't warm enough. It's currently at 80 degrees Celsius. It's warm enough. Come on, shut down. It shut off. We're gonna leave it for a couple of seconds. All right, now there's a car behind us. Let it pass, and then we're gonna go to full gas, and full gas now. You see? It's at 1000 RPM, and now it's shut down. And now I have to restart it. Works? All right, let's see how we're supposed to start from a start-stop situation. Let's go easy on the gas. There's a car behind us. We're gonna leave after it. Okay. If you use it as you should, not giving it full gas off the line, it works decently well. But you know what? Click it off. It's a 125cc liquid-cooled engine. It's fuel efficient as it is. It's enough fuel efficient as it is. You don't need start-stop system. Sure, it's nice to have it quiet at the traffic light for the engine to shut down, and you know, it's a little bit quieter. But I think it wears out the engine, especially if you get into a situation where you have to get off the line quickly, and you give it full gas and it's not capable to take it. Might as well be, you'll be better off switching it off. But apart from that, I am quite impressed with this little machine, and I really can't take off points for the start-stop system. It's a system that most people aren't gonna use. It's a bit of a gimmick on scooters. 125cc liquid-cooled scooters, start-stop is a bit of a gimmick. I'm gonna tell you straight up now. Start-stop is a gimmick on 125, 160cc. Anything under 300cc, it's a gimmick. It's not gonna save you fuel. But yeah, otherwise, I like this machine. It's nice. It ain't as expensive as a Sim. It feels just as well built as a Sim. It rides really nicely. I wouldn't mind taking long trips on it. Very few things I can complain about it, especially considering it comes under 3,000 euros. I mean, that's very little money for a heck of a lot of scooter. Does it have the reliability of a Sim? I have no idea, because these things have to prove themselves in time. But when it's new, riding it around as a first impressions, I really enjoy it, and I think it's a well put together machine. It feels strong, it feels sturdy, and I wouldn't mind riding this thing around. So yeah, let's try out a little bit of off-roading, like some technical stuff. Yep, curb. Okay, you know, it can do it. Probably not as smooth as the ADX, but you know, it can do it. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching, for liking the videos, and for subscribing and sharing them with your friends. And remember, if you want to support the work I put in here, you have affiliate links down in the description below. You have links to my Revolut and my PayPal account. Any help is appreciated. If you don't have any money to spare, that doesn't matter, that's not important. Give a like to the video, share it with your friends, get the word out so we can grow this community more and more each day. Until next time, guys, take care out there, everyone, and ride safe. Bye.